why dating is stupid. So I want to go over a couple points about dating, not just in 2021, but about just men and women in general, with how that plays out. So going off my last video and in previous content too, today's my second day of starting my business. I turned 27 yesterday on June 12th, and when it comes to dating and whatever each party there is looking for, you can break it down a few ways. So let's go first with the family and kids idea. So if a family and kids is something that you want, realistically, going over the course of human history and just knowing from your own personal experiences, you know what makes a more functional family unit than a less functional family unit. And no family unit is going to be 100% functional, but there's certain areas of life that if you just tackle those areas, it's just going to be smoother. And so a couple of these areas would be attraction, with the man and the woman mutually attracted to each other, having the money to raise that family and the kid and to get resources and to live comfortably, and enough time that you're actually enjoying yourselves as a family with each other. And there's other aspects of that too, but going to have a kid with a woman, realistically, it's like, you know, me turning 27 yesterday, I just quit my other job to start this business, starting to do my YouTube channel, some other things I want to do too, but I'm in a place right now, like I was living in a house renting from families, paying $1,200 a month. It was sick. I had my own bedroom, no roommates, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, yard space around all 4 sides, but I was paying $1,200 a month in San Diego, which is good for a house, 804 square feet, but it's still, it's kind of like one of those pressured things where you're in high school or college or whatever, and they push like the white picket fence and the go and get your degree, just like a track that you're supposed to be on. And I noticed after a couple years living there that it's like, yeah, it's nice to have this house, you know, bring a girl over or whatever, but it's just $1,200 going into rent. Yes, I'm paying family. I was at the time, which is cool, paying for a family rental, but I don't see that money right away. So I kind of rethought what I wanted to do. I moved back with my mom, and so to save that money. Now the thing is though, now that I'm starting to do my own thing, if I meet a girl today, the second day starting my business, I moved back with my mom to save money and do other things in my life, kind of reinvest that $1,200 a month into something else rather than just paying rent. If a girl my age at 27 is looking for a kid, we're on a set timeline of things that need to be congruent. So like her biological clock, our money to raise this kid, a place to raise them, right? Like I'm not gonna bring her, well, in my house, my room and my mom's room is like connected to each other, so it's just like I don't have a living situation in the house that I grew up with where I can just like bring a girl over. My mom's room is like right next door, so it's just like to like raise a kid, it's just like it's not functional, right? You know, I'm trying to get my life going. I'm in my 20s, and just based on other men being older and having more years to like acquire money, be in the economy, grow up and all that, you in your 20s, you're just at a different spot. So even if that's something she's looking for at 27, realistically, you got to really think about like what are we actually offering each other in this point in time. So going back to what I'm saying with that, it's like the whole aspect of dating is just like, you know, people think, oh, I met this nice girl, I'm gonna take her out to dinner, and like, yeah, you know, like the dinner in the movie and the like showing her that, you know, you can provide a good time and experience, showing her you have money, whatever the case is. But it's just like, it comes back to what you provide in the moment based on that person's perception. So like regardless of all that, like you spending your $50 on a dinner or something, but you have a living situation where you can't even raise that kid, and if that's something she's looking for, it's like, yeah, you just spend $50 on the dinner, and she, you know, even if you had sex with her or not, it's just like $50 down the drain. Where you could have put that into yourself, worked through your 20s, not feeling like you needed to have a girlfriend in your 20s or needed to hook up tonight or whatever the case may be. Like you could have focused on yourself. So, and then you can get yourself into a position where now you provide that thing. So now if we want to take this outside of kids and say, okay, no kids, a man and a woman who don't want kids, but they want to date or whatever. Well, still, it's like we're in this society where there's a monetary system that other human beings place on us. So it costs a little bit of money to go do things. So in order even to provide that basic experience, you need a little bit of money. Well, how are you making this money, right? Like we're all trying to make money, but the thing is, with like a give and take, like a seesaw kind of society with that, someone making the money, where's the money come from? So your plan to make the money, your plan to go through and get that, who's the money coming from? Like who's losing for you gaining, right? So when everybody's kind of on that track of like figuring out that balance, you're constantly on the hamster wheel of like needing to provide a certain level. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing great. But yeah, you're constantly on the hamster wheel of needing to provide a certain level based on her perception of what that level even is, whether that's your looks, your finances, what you can provide, resources, spirituality, anything. Whatever her perception of worthiness or high value or alpha, you're just always on the hamster wheel of that, because there's billions of other guys, right? So there's always something that you aren't in some capacity by her perception. So you're in this state where, you know, it's like, okay, well, you're more attractive if you have this money or the means to go do something, like even not just the money, but like what the money comes with. So like, say someone just puts a couple million in your bank account right now, so you can meet a girl like, hey, let's just go on a vacation right now for 2 weeks, I'll pay for everything. Hey, let's get a house, I'll pay for everything. Like, you can just do things, and so like it just naturally increases your stock. But that's the thing, like, people aren't just going to put random amounts of money in your bank account, like millions of dollars. So it's like your pursuit to get this money, what are you contributing to society, for one, in a way that other people are respecting to give you that money, and that you're not gonna like screw them over with that money. Kind of like, don't bite the hand that feeds you, right? Like, so it's like you're trying to acquire all this money, so people are handing you this money. Well, what are you gonna do with this position that they're giving you, right? So people are gonna like have an opinion on that, and they're gonna like check your place on that. So you're always just like, you're always on this like this balancing act. You're like on the balance beam, like, oh, if you fall, then like then the marriage sucks and she'll divorce and you lose half, or like then she'll move on. Yeah, like you're always just like, you're on the balance beam, you're just on like the hamster wheel. So even if you don't want kids, and that's not even in the equation, it's just like just having the means to provide something. Like, it takes a little bit of money. If you really look at it honestly, with the way that human beings are, take a homeless guy and a billionaire, two extremes. When it comes to women, I mean, come on, how many homeless guys are pulling in women tonight versus a billionaire? If there's two different women and they meet two different guys, the guys can be best friends. One guy's a billionaire, one guy's homeless. Do you think the two women are going to split off 1 and 1? Or do you think they're both going to be with the billionaire? Like, and this is something that a lot of people don't want to think about, because they don't want to think about where they fall on the spectrum of that. And so that's why you see a lot of these people, especially guys in their 20s, really trying to learn this stuff. And, you know, it'll be the guy who's always having girl issues, or like, why didn't she call me back? Why didn't she text me back? Why didn't she like me back? Or whatever the case may be. But it's just like, she's never yours, right? You don't own another human being in general. So when it comes to dating, like, you don't own her. Like, you're not going to sign a piece of paper and just like, it's not going to do anything in terms of like what that means for your lives going forward, because it's about words and actions in concert with each other, right? It's not like signing something on a dotted line, or like you went to a dinner and you both laughed and had a good time, therefore that's what it is. So it's like, yeah, dating is just like, it's just really stupid, because it's always going to come back to looks and money and what you provide, and resources, and chemistry, and spirituality, and like all those things together. Race, genetics, right? Being 5'2" versus being 6'5". I mean, that matters. And people, you know, they don't want, you know, the inside counts, and don't judge a book by its cover, which is great stuff. It's great philosophy, but there's stuff that matters with that. And so trying to give certain dating advice, it doesn't work, because everyone's a different piece on the board. So like you're whatever piece you are. So like me, I'm 5'11", and if that's, I've never had an issue with that as my height. But you know, the whole joke of like women wanting a guy that's 6 foot or taller, if that's honestly an issue, if 1 inch is honestly an issue, it doesn't do anything for my life to care about 1 inch because one girl thought that. It's you just are the genetics you are, and the height that you grew to, the race, the eye color, the bone structure, the facial features, your family situation you were born into, the schools you were sent to. Like, you just can't change that. So it's like the whole dating, like, oh, like I wish I was an inch taller or two. It's just like you just aren't. So you control what you can control, and don't worry about the stuff that you can't control, because at the end of the day, dating's very stupid because there's other stuff going on. There's a spiritual aspect to our world. There's a physical aspect to our world, and when it comes to sexuality like that stuff is gonna matter, right? Like having a kid, like you're gonna need resources. You gotta feed it. You gotta have free time. You gotta have life be comfortable. So it's like, are you really gonna like, you like? But then people say, oh, well, like, how are you saying that like poor people can't procreate? It's not that they can't. Like everyone has the right to do so, but let's be honest, it's 2021 about like what is like functional for that family. Like, do you want to like be in poverty, struggling, or like, like me, if I want to have a kid right now at 27, like I'm just trying to start a business. It's just my second day. Like I can't like trying to do this and then like you got like the girl, if you get married, like the wife or like the girl back home, the baby mom, and like you're here trying to work and like she's alone taking care of it, or like, and then like you're here talking to a girl trying to make a sale and then she's like, oh, I saw the way you talked to her. Like it's just, you're in your 20s as a guy, you're at the bottom of the barrel. It's so stupid, the whole concept of like dating and like even trying to care about whether she likes you, or because it's gonna always come back to that. It's like the looks, the money, the spirituality, the position, the social status, the followers, what you can do for her, what you can provide. Like I said, if you take the homeless guy and you take the billionaire, I'm sorry, but like we know how that's gonna play out. So as much as you may have think that you found, whether that's a soulmate or a twin flame, which may be true into your spiritual path of how you're defining that, or just someone that you really connect with, or someone you think is really attractive and likes you back, no matter how special you think the bond is, she's never yours. It's just your turn in how the timeline played out for how you perceived something and how she perceived something, which is why you always got to protect your own peace. You've always got to make sure that you're good. You've got to make sure that you're progressing, because that stuff is just gonna change regardless, right? So it's like you're always just gonna be on this this constant hamster wheel of trying to live up to a certain status, a certain plateau. Especially here in Southern California, it could be just something very well, anywhere in the world really, but I'm just saying, like me in San Diego, with like the LA kind of vibe, and you could go to a club or whatever, and like you're driving a Ford, another guy's 5 years older, he's driving a Mercedes, so it just like mentally indicates to some girl that like he can provide more. So like it might not even be your fault. You might have been born with like a single mom, poor neighborhood. Like it's not even your fault that you can't provide. You just don't have the money. You weren't born to like rich white parents in like a private school, or like whatever situation someone is. But like you are what you are, and you aren't what you aren't, based on whatever that person's perception is of value or worth, or oh, this person's good enough. Like say a woman has in her mind an idea of how much money a guy should make so that she doesn't have to work, so she can take care of the kids comfortably. Say she thinks that's 6 figures, so like 100 grand. So in her mind, okay, like if I meet a guy with makes 100 grand, then we can both make this happen. He can work, I don't have to work, take care of the kid. Well, you as a guy that doesn't make 100 grand, you don't meet that criteria. And so if you don't meet that in the present day of her perceiving that, it's like, how much energy are you going to spend on caring about that stuff? Right? Like you can try to convince her, like, hey, I'm working on this business, on this idea. I will make 100 grand. Like, me at 27, I'm just like, I can't promise you that I'll make 100 grand tomorrow, but maybe at 30 I can be, if you believed in my YouTube channel, believed in my business, believe where I'm going. But see, that's the thing. It's just like temporal by how they perceive it at that point. So it's like, they're not going to wait around for you for 3 years to get your stuff going. So by the time 27, if I'm doing that at 30, then she'll be 30. And then she's like, oh, wow, like now you've got the stuff going on. But at that point, you've got the options too. You could go all the way down to 18 or whatever the age of consent is, all the way up to whatever you want, do with the cougar thing. But that's what I'm saying. Dating is totally stupid because it's always temporary.